Imagine discovering that billions of your hard-earned pounds are being flushed down the drain by the Bank of England, all while Rachel Reeves sharpens her knives for yet another tax hike on ordinary families. Shocking, is it not? But that is exactly what Richard Tice uncovered after storming into Threadneedle Street with Nigel Farage, a financial fiasco that could explode the entire budget debate and leave the Chancellor red-faced. Stay tuned, because this revelation might just be the spark that ignites a taxpayer revolt across Britain. Richard Tice, the Reform UK deputy leader, visited the Bank of England headquarters on Threadneedle Street in London, accompanied by party leader Nigel Farage. They met with Governor Andrew Bailey to discuss quantitative easing and quantitative tightening policies. Tice emerged furious, claiming these measures have caused staggering losses to taxpayers, amounting to billions of pounds through bond sales at below-market prices. He announced plans to write to Chancellor Rachel Reeves, demanding an urgent parliamentary debate. Tice argues that altering the bank's mandate could prevent unnecessary tax rises and reshape the upcoming budget calculations. This meeting took place recently, amid growing pressure on Reeves as she prepares her first budget, with whispers of inheritance tax increases and fuel duty hikes looming. The controversy centers on how quantitative tightening is offloading bonds at a loss, burdening the public purse while the wealthy benefit from inflated asset prices.
Well, Jane, that opening salvo from the narrator has certainly got my blood boiling. Richard Tice walking into the Bank of England like a modern-day bulldog, eh? With Nigel Farage at his side, they are challenging the very heart of our financial system. Quantitative easing. That is when the bank floods the economy with freshly printed money to keep things afloat during crises, like after the banking crash or the pandemic. But now, with quantitative tightening, they are reversing it, selling off those bonds and sucking the money back out. The trouble is, they are doing it at a massive loss. And who foots the bill? Us, the taxpayers. Billions upon billions, Jane. It is daylight robbery, dressed up in pinstripes and spreadsheets.
Absolutely, John, and it is high time someone called it out. Tice is spot on. This is not just about fancy economic jargon, it's about real people feeling the pinch. Remember, we are talking about families already struggling with soaring mortgages, energy bills, and the cost of a weekly shop at Tesco. If Reeves listened to Tice's proposal and pushed the bank to stop these fire sale bond disposals, she could potentially save billions that would otherwise vanish into thin air. Instead, she seems poised to hike taxes, inheritance tax, perhaps fuel duty, to plug the gaps. It's as if the government is selling off the family silver at a car boot sale and then asking us to buy it back at full price. What kind of stewardship is that for a Labour Chancellor who promised to protect working people?
Spot on, Jane. Let us dig deeper into the implications. These policies were meant to stabilize the economy, but they have done the opposite for many. Quantitative easing pumped up house prices and stock markets, making the rich even richer, while leaving the rest of us with inflation and debt hangovers. Now, with tightening, the losses are crystallizing. Estimates put it at over £100 billion in total taxpayer exposure. Tice is demanding a debate in Parliament because, constitutionally, the Chancellor sets the bank's remit. If Reeves tweaked it to prioritize taxpayer protection, we might avoid the austerity squeeze she's hinting at. But will she? She's already under fire from the parliamentary watchdog for not declaring freebies. Hardly inspires confidence, does it? It's like trusting a fox to guard the henhouse.
Indeed, John, and the timing could not be worse. Reeves is the first Labour Chancellor in 14 years, meant to restore faith in economic competence after the Tory chaos. Yet here she is, potentially ignoring a lifeline from Reform UK that could ease the burden on pensioners and families. Think about it. Higher inheritance tax would hit those over 65 hardest, robbing them of the chance to pass on their modest savings without the taxman taking a massive bite. Tice's point is revolutionary. Change the bank's course, and suddenly the budget maths improve. No need for draconian cuts or hikes that squeeze the middle class. But whispers in Westminster suggests she's too wedded to the status quo, perhaps fearing it would look like capitulating to Farage's crowd. The irony is, ordinary Britons, the ones queuing at food banks or worrying about heating this winter, are the real losers if she doesn't act.
You're right, Jane. This goes beyond party politics. It's a betrayal of trust. The Bank of England, that venerable institution on Threadneedle Street, has been playing fast and loose with our money for years. Remember the 2008 crash? They bailed out the banks with our cash, and now we're paying again. Tice's meeting with Governor Bailey exposed how detached these decisions are from everyday life. If Parliament steps in, as Tice demands, it could force transparency, maybe even hearings where Bailey explains why they are selling bonds at a loss rather than holding them to maturity. That alone could save tens of billions, freeing up funds for the NHS or pothole repairs instead of tax rises. But Reeves seems content to shrug it off, muttering about difficult choices while the iceberg looms. It's reminiscent of the 1970s IMF crisis, history repeating itself, and we all know how that ended.
Precisely, John. Let us consider the broader fallout. If Reeves ignores this, it plays right into Reform UK's hands. Tice and Farage are positioning themselves as the champions of the forgotten taxpayer, tapping into that deep-seated British frustration with Whitehall elites. Polls show growing anger over cost of living pressures, and this scandal could be the tipping point. Imagine the Budget Day headlines. Chancellor hikes taxes while billions bleed away? It would erode public trust further, perhaps leading to protests or even electoral shifts. On the flip side, if she heeds Tice's call and demands a rethink from the bank, she could emerge as a pragmatic leader, saving face and easing the squeeze on households. But given her track record, that freebies slip up and all, I'm not holding my breath. This is not just economics, it's about fairness in a country where the gap between the haves and have-nots keeps widening.
Well said, Jane. The cruel twist is that these policies were sold as saviors, yet they have inflated asset bubbles for the wealthy while hammering high streets and savers. Tice's fury post-meeting is a wake-up call. Britain doesn't have to accept this as inevitable. By writing to Reeves, he's forcing the issue into the open, potentially sparking a cross-party push for reform. Imagine if opposition parties united on this, it could reshape fiscal policy for generations. But without action, we face a future of higher bills, eroded pensions, and a government seen as out of touch. Reeves holds the power to change course, but her silence so far speaks volumes. It's as if she's polishing the Titanic's deck chairs while the ship heads for disaster.
Absolutely, John. And that brings us to the heart of it. This scandal underscores a broken system where bankers and politicians pass the buck, leaving taxpayers to clean up. Tice's intervention could be the catalyst for real change, pressuring Reeves to prioritize people over protocol. If she doesn't, the backlash could be immense, from disgruntled pensioners to young families feeling the pinch. Britain has endured enough economic experiments. It's time for accountability. As Churchill might say, we've tried everything else. Now let's try doing the right thing.
What do you think, viewers? Should Rachel Reeves be forced to debate this in Parliament and halt the bank's bond sales at a loss? Or are we destined to keep footing the bill for their blunders? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you.
And if you have enjoyed this deep dive, do subscribe to Alert View right now and ring that bell to stay alerted to the stories that matter. Your support keeps us going.